Hello and welcome. This is the Hot Action Podcast, and I'm your host, Matt Kerr. And we are back with another week of NFL gambling. We're going to start out by going over last week's results, and then we'll get on to picking every game against the spread for next week. First things first, we survived. We made a survivor pick. It was Buffalo. They took care of business. They covered. And, we're still through. We're alive in Survivor. That's the first point of business. Second point of business is we got back to respectability against the spread. We went 11-5, which makes up for being one game under 500 last week. So 11-5 in mind. Let's get on to the game-by-game results. We took Washington plus 3.5, thinking that it might be a slop fest on Thursday night. But really, Green Bay took the boots to them. 18-27. That's a, fairly large margin of victory, but the game actually felt larger than that watching it. Washington was trying to backdoor towards the end, but they were not. They were really never in this game, to my eyes. And, looks like Washington QB might be a bit banged up as well, which is something to monitor going forward. And, turns out Green Bay is a wagon. 2 games in, it seems pretty clear. We got to watch out for this team going forward. They will certainly be chasing that divisional title with Detroit probably coming in second, I think, at this point. Okay. Sunday morning, we had the Rams. Minus 5.5 over Tennessee. That worked. There was a while there where they were going back and forth, but in the second half, the Rams managed to pull ahead quite significantly and take down the cover. We had Seahawks plus 2.5 at Pittsburgh. Seattle, I think, there were a few lucky plays that went Seattle's way, certainly, but I think they dominated this game pretty well. They got the extra points, and they didn't need them. That's another win. Buffalo minus 6.5 at the Jets. They win by 20. We don't need to say much more than that. Buffalo looks dominant again this year. We have Chicago at Detroit. After a shaky start last week, I put my faith in Detroit minus 5.5, and they rewarded me by winning by 31 points. Chicago does not have their poop in a group. This Ben Johnson era has not started very well. They're 0-2. It's not fair to judge them after, playing Detroit, but, I don't know. We'll see what happens going forward. We'll see if Caleb Williams is a good match with Ben Johnson. Everything's looking pretty scary right now for the Bears fans, but that's pretty usual. And then we have one of the craziest games I've ever seen. We had New York Giants at Dallas. We took Giants plus 5.5 because that line felt pretty big. And towards the end, it felt clear that the Giants were going to win. But then, they were just trading blows back and forth for a long time. Giants take a lead. Then as the game ends, Dallas hits a long field goal to tie it up, take this whole thing to overtime. And they're battling back and forth in overtime, and then Dallas hits another field goal to win. But Giants have enough points to cover. We love to see it. Then we got Cleveland at Baltimore. We took Baltimore minus 10.5. That was a pretty large spread. But, at this point right now in the season, mostly the favorites have been covering and winning. If you're in a survivor pool, it is very likely that there are very few people out. It feels like that point in a scary movie where, nobody's dead yet. It feels like, some creepy thing happens, but it was just fun, the tension creeps up, but it's relieved. But as we all know, we're NFL fans, the tension will creep up and people will die at some point. probably this week, unfortunately. There will be something in this schedule that screws people over, and it's our job to figure out what that's going to be. Or, Vegas will just keep giving money to people betting square ass, favorites and having them cover, and then, the lines will get to be like 22.5. All right. That's that. So then we have San Francisco at New Orleans. This ended up being pretty close. Both teams, we got Mac Jones, quarterback in San Francisco. We got Spencer Rattler in New Orleans. This was a pretty busted-ass game, to be honest. But San Francisco did manage to win by 5, so they cover by a half point. Love to see it. Then we took we took New England at Miami, getting a 1.5. New England wins 33-27. Works out. Now this one is one that I really was frustrated by, because I took Jacksonville because I thought Cincinnati looked bad, didn't deserve to win against the Browns. I just thought they didn't have their stuff together. They were looking like they were having that slumpy start like they have the last multiple years. And I think the thesis was correct. The result was just bad for Jacksonville somehow. I don't really know how this went the wrong way. When you look at all the stuff that happened in the game, Cincinnati has their, Pro Bowl caliber, elite quarterback go out injured. Jacksonville is winning the game by 7, if I recall correctly. And Jake Browning comes in, he throws 3 picks, and somehow Jacksonville managed to lose this game and not cover. It is unbelievable. They fail to cover by a half point, and I'm just head in my hands over that one. I don't know why I'm taking this so harshly. It's just one game, but it's tough when you know you're right about something and then it goes wrong. Okay, and then the next game up. I can't talk about that anymore. We have Carolina at Arizona. We took Arizona minus 6.5. They only win by 4. Arizona was dominating, but then towards the end of the game, Carolina comes back and backdoors them. I don't like this Arizona team. They're a 2-0 start, but they look shaky as heck. They managed to beat 2 of the worst teams in the league, Carolina and New Orleans are absolute gumbo. They're cabbage. We cannot. This is a fake 2-0. That's all there is to be said about that. Another one that was frustrating. We didn't win. Denver minus 2.5 at Indy. There was some weird chicanery at the end of this game involving a leverage play and a bunch of weird stuff. Either team could claim the right to be the better team in this game. They were going back and forth, scoring all over the place. Nothing's upsetting about that, but yeah, this is a very strange penalty to end the game, or to, get the final score and all that type of stuff. But yep, Indianapolis wins outright as the home dog, so nothing to complain about there. Denver does not cover. All right, then we got Philadelphia at Kansas. Philadelphia is 2-0. Kansas is 0-2. Philadelphia was giving up a half point. I felt like this was going to be a Super Bowl rematch. Last time we saw these two teams play, Philadelphia, slobber knocked them. So we took Philly minus a half point. Worked out. This game was closer. It was in Kansas City. And, this game might have been decided by one play where Mahomes throws to Kelsey, nearly catches it on the goal line, but it's busted up for an interception. So, football is a game of inches. Sometimes you get good, sometimes you're good, sometimes you're lucky. I think I got a bit lucky there. And I think Kansas City is unlucky to be 0-2, but, I do think Philadelphia is a little bit better, so we'll see. We'll watch all that going forward. And everyone seems to be discussing banning the tush push, which is funny because they literally went over that during the offseason, rules review and all that type of stuff. And okay, the thumbnail game. Sunday Night Football, we have Atlanta getting 4.5 at Minnesota. Minnesota only scores 6 points. That is 2 field goals. They get absolutely dominated. The Atlanta defense was just living in the backfield. J.J. McCarthy gets injured. Absolute disaster game for Minnesota. This is not what you want to see when you've given up your starting quarterback to integrate the rookie. Yeah, you use the high draft pick to draft J.J. McCarthy, and he manages to play 2 games in, over the course of 1 season in 2 games, and now he's injured again. This is not great. Hopefully he can get back in the game this season and, redeem himself, but that's not great. So, yeah, Atlanta wins by 16 and gets 4.5 extra points on top of that. One of the easiest covers of all time. Then we had our 2 Monday night games. We had Tampa getting 2.5 points at Houston. We took Tampa. We thought they were going to win outright. They did, but it was a wild ride, to say the least. And finally, we used the rule. Divisional game, prime time, you take the dog. Didn't work. It doesn't always work, but it works more than it doesn't. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. The rule is good. I will not hear otherwise. And that being said, we are moving on to week 3. Oh yeah, and if you don't remember, we did survive. We picked Buffalo. Moving on, week 3. We're starting off with Miami at Buffalo. Miami's getting 12.5 points. And like I just said, the rule is the game divisional in prime time? You're taking the dog. This is making me extremely nervous because there's a lot of stuff that you might consider in Buffalo's favor. They've looked absolutely dominant. Miami looks terrible. Josh Allen loves to cover in scenarios like this. That being said, this feels trappish. I mentioned earlier that favorites have been covering all over the place, and I think that trend will change because Vegas doesn't like losing money. And I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often. There's a high level of variance in these games. So maybe Miami will just stick around. Maybe they can score a little bit here and there. I do think they will get shredded on defense, though. This Buffalo team is a absolute wood chipper. All right, and Sunday morning we start with Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tennessee's getting 3.5 at home. I think Indy has covered both games. This feels trappish, but I am taking Indy. Moving on, we got Pittsburgh laying 1.5 at New England. I am taking the home dog, New England. This game's kind of a coin flip for me. I'm just taking the points. I could easily see either team winning. I like the home team. I like betting on the home team. I like getting the points. Yeah, I don't really have too much insight on this game, so moving on. And then we have the Jets getting 7.5 at Tampa Bay. I personally think this is too many points. I'm taking the Jets. I don't like the Jets that much, but I think the Jets have a pretty solid defense. They can run the ball. 7.5 points is a lot. We are going to be seeing the Jets' backup QB, which could be why this line is so high. But yeah, I don't know. Tampa Bay looks like a wagon as well. I have them going to the NFC conference game or conference championship. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Tampa Bay. That's all there's to say about that. Moving on, we got Vegas at Washington. Vegas is getting 3.5 points. Washington, I believe, is playing a backup QB. I'll be taking Washington. Yes, I will be taking Washington. Vegas looked pretty bad last week at home. Traveling across the country to Washington is not going to help them out. That's all there is to say about that. And we got the Rams at Philadelphia. Philly's laying 3.5 points at home. Sorry, Eagles fans. I will be taking the Rams because they're getting points. Philadelphia is 2-0, but they have not looked super good doing it. They played a couple of okay teams. It depends whether you think Dallas is good or not. It depends whether you think the 0-2 Chiefs are good or not. I do think the Rams are pretty good. At the moment, I think the Rams are probably winning the NFC West. Yeah, I don't know. They're 2-0. Can't complain about that. All right, moving on. We got Atlanta at Carolina. Atlanta minus 5.5. Carolina managed to backdoor last week. I don't know. I think this Atlanta defense is actually pretty sturdy. I think they're going to be living in Bryce's lap. I think, the mayor of Munchkinland will not be having a good day on Sunday. And, we're taking Atlanta minus 5.5. See if they can continue this, the roll they're on that started in Minnesota. All right, then we got Cincinnati plus 2.5 at Minnesota. Now, this is an interesting game because both teams are already down a QB. Cincinnati's getting 2.5 points. Minnesota's at home. Yeah, this is a kind of a coin flip for me. So I'm just going to take the points here. We're going to go with Cincinnati. I really don't know out of the backup quarterbacks who's meant to be better here. I do really like the coaching for Minnesota. I think that they can, do a lot of wild stuff. But Cincinnati's skill players are incredible. That being said, Cincinnati's defense is deplorable. You know what? I'm talking myself into Minnesota as I say it. Cincinnati without Joe Burrow. I think Kevin O'Connell, KOC, is going to be, picking apart this horrible Cincinnati defense, maybe. Even with backup QB. And they're at home, so hopefully the Minnesota fans can make it tough on Cincinnati. We'll see. Then we got Houston getting a 0.5 point at Jacksonville. And boy, do I not like what I've seen from Jacksonville so far this year. They managed to beat Carolina, but Carolina is really, really bad. And the way they failed to beat the Bengals was just atrocious. Now, Houston is 0-2, but I'm going to go ahead and take Houston. I don't think Houston's going to go 0-3. I technically have Houston to win the division, and I still believe in that. Even though they're 0-2, I might rebet that because, being 0-2 might offer some longer odds on the same bet I already like. All right, then we got Green Bay going into Cleveland. Green Bay's giving up at 8.5 points. Now, here's one of these scenarios where, is Vegas going to keep hemorrhaging money? I think not. I think Cleveland is going to cover for a second time this year. They covered against the Bengals. They didn't win. I don't think they're going to win this game. If I'm betting the money line, I'm betting on Green Bay. But the dog pound manages to get a lot of pro-Cleveland calls at home. And, despite what you might think about Cleveland's QB room, no one's hurt yet. They're still at full strength, roughly speaking. Green Bay is really good, but I do think that, covering 8.5 point spread is difficult. We're going to take the points here. This is one of those scenarios, too, where I could easily imagine, I turn on the game, it's 10:30, The game starts at 10. And already, somehow, Cleveland is down 15 points. And I'm like, how'd this happen? It's because Cleveland are very bad and Green Bay is very good. But, 8.5 points is big. We're taking it. All right, and then we're getting Denver at the Chargers to start off the afternoon slate at 1:05 p.m. Denver's getting 2.5 points. This Chargers team looks pretty good so far. They are in the lead in the division. I don't know. This is a tough game. I might just take the points here. It's not as huge. It's not a huge spread, but tends to be that this LA home advantage is almost non-existent. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take Denver plus 2.5. And bet against the Chargers getting to 3-0. All right, then we got New Orleans at Seattle. Seattle is giving 7.5 points. And I really don't know what to do with this one. And if you follow me historically, betting on Seattle is a problem for me. What I think is going to happen in my heart is that the Seattle defense is going to absolutely put Rattler in the spin cycle. He's going to have no idea what's going on. He's going to be seeing ghosts. He's going to get sacked 3 to 5 times. And then Seattle will chip away and slowly break this game apart. Is that enough for a 7.5 point victory? I don't know. We did manage to beat Pittsburgh, who I think are a much better team than New Orleans, by more than that away. I will take Seattle minus 7.5, but I'm holding my nose on this one. I do not like that much. All right, and we got another divisional matchup. We got Arizona at San Francisco. San Francisco is laying 1.5 at home. San Francisco, they have Mac Jones at quarterback because Purdy is out. This is a tough one. I really don't like Arizona, but they're getting 1.5. They're, traveling to San Francisco. I really think it's tough that one of these teams has to come out 3-0. But I will, if I have to pick one, it's San Francisco. I'm just going to believe in the infrastructure. We got a lot of solid pieces in terms of skill position players. They got CMC. But yeah, Arizona plays this funky way where Kyler Murray can go scramble for 30 yards or something like that. Just throw darts. He's a little freak. And you never know what he's going to do. You never know whether he's going to fumble the ball backwards for 20 yards or, scramble for 30. I hate betting on Arizona. We're taking San Francisco. The Mac Jones experience. Let's see if it can continue. Managed to cover last week against a very bad team. Let's see. Well, I think we'll now start to see what these teams actually are. San Francisco managed to beat Seattle in week 1, but at what cost? Half the team got injured. Now the absolutely banged up San Francisco gets to play Arizona. I don't think Arizona's beat anyone convincingly, or anyone good for that matter. San Francisco, although that's true for them as well, in terms of that, since they've been injured, they've only defeated New Orleans. So, tough to judge. We're picking San Fran. All right, then we got Dallas at Chicago. Chicago is laying 0.5 point at home. Both these teams are pretty wonky. I'm just going to take the home team and hold my nose. I don't know why this feels like the right call to me. It's very odd. And then we got Sunday Night Football. Maybe something they were excited to program, during the offseason. We got Kansas City at the New York Giants. Kansas City's 0-2. Giants are 0-2. It feels like a mistake that they put this in a primetime slot. I'm just taking the home dogs. Giants are getting 6.5 points. I don't see really why the Chiefs are giving 6.5 points to anybody. This was all what was happening last year. The Chiefs would win but not cover all the time. Except this year they're not even winning. They're 0-2. This is as many games. The Chiefs have lost as many games this year as they did last year before the playoffs. They only lost 2 games during the regular season last year, all year. And I don't know. It's so odd to see this shift up so much. But yeah, I feel like this is a great opportunity to get points. We're taking the Giants. The Giants were scoring in bunches last week against Dallas, but Dallas, I think they might have a very questionable defense. So we're taking the Giants anyway. We're just hoping that they can muck this game up and keep it within 6.5, or maybe win. Who knows? Kansas might be, really bad. So we've taken a lot of points here. Maybe we'll see if it's the right move by next Tuesday, I guess. Then we got Detroit at Baltimore. And the last time this happened, Detroit got smoked. For some reason, betting on Baltimore is always a interesting proposal. They can be up by 20 and then lose the game in the last minute, or they can beat teams like the Browns by 20. They can beat teams like Detroit by 30. Detroit's amazing. Or they beat like a division winner like the Texans last year during Christmas. They smoked them like absolute bare bottom spanking. This team can do anything. But, Detroit is also quite capable of throwing 50 up on their day. So I'm going to take Detroit plus 5.5 and just, take the points. Feel like I'm being tactical. Hopefully when I come back next week, we've got a positive result. So I'm going to hit submit there. Let's give them a nice high over under here. Let's put 54. And finally, I'm going to pick a survivor team. So far, I picked the Arizona Cardinals. And then last week, I picked Buffalo. So this week, I am picking Seattle. Oh, no, sorry. Last week, I picked the Ravens. This week, I'm picking Buffalo. Last week, I had the Ravens. All right. Excuse me. I lost my mind. So that's been the Hot Action Podcast. All the picks are in. We're taking Buffalo and Survivor. See you all next week.